Khalil Coe and Beck the Bully did something that I love seeing up and comers. I guess they're not. Maybe Khalil Cole's an up and comer, but Beck the Bully is probably more of a contender now. But when we get prospects, oftentimes if they don't have a perfect record, people go, I'm done with him. I'm done with this guy. You know, he lost one fight. He's not that good. And then it's kind of inherent, right, as a boxing fan to think like that because oftentimes the fighters are built up. And what do I mean by that? They get matchups that either develop them, teach them things, a southpaw that's not maybe the most talented, but it's a southpaw look, a puncher, but he's not the most talented puncher. They're developed when they're signed with a promotion to get to a certain level and grow, and then maybe stay at that high level to be in meaningful fights. And they were built up organically through the promotion. And that's kind of part of the sport of boxing is the development aspect. So cynical fans will look at certain fighters, and if they see a prospect lose early on, they'll go, oh, he just wasn't good, because there's the cynic in the way fighters are built makes no sense to people. They go, what is going on here? Why did this guy lose? I guess he just wasn't simply that good. In Khalil Cole's case and Beck the Bully's case, that is not the case. I keep saying case. That is weird. Khalil Coe got stopped by Manuel Gallegos. Love that he rematched him right away, goes to Mexico to fight him, makes him basically quit, say no mas, essentially, won't get off of his stool after being jabbed repeatedly, had no answers. It makes me wonder if Khalil Coe was fighting through some form of an injury, because the Khalil Coe that fought Manuel Gallegos this time looked completely different. This was not the same guy at all. Khalil Coe is one of these guys where I'm not sure where he's going to fall out in the division, because he feels a little bit undersized in terms of height, but he's physically strong in terms of the weight at 175. The division is fairly weak. I don't have an assessment of where he goes, but I love the resilience he showed to come back, beat Manuel Gallegos, get the stoppage. Now his career moves on, and it almost rewrites that brutal knockout loss where I'm like, wow, that was startling and jarring. He gets retribution. It makes me wonder, oh, there must have been something going on that I have no clue what it was. Beck the Bully, on the other hand, gets knocked out by Gabe Rosado. I can't tell you the year. It was probably about 4 years ago. I came from a funeral and watched that brutal knockout. It's probably about 4 years ago, to be honest. And since then, he's really been underwhelming, to be honest. He's racked up several wins. I want to say nearly double-digit wins. They've kept him active, but a split decision win over David Stevens, who Joe Sean James knocked out in one round. Very competitive fight against Darius Fulgrim. Kind of a flip-a-coin fight, but Beck the Bully late in the fight kind of took over in the sense that he gets a knockdown. He was throwing punches at the end of rounds to seal rounds. And Darius, to me, what was telling about the fight was Darius has amateur experience and he has pro experience, but Beck, I believe, two-time Olympian, correct me in the comments if I'm not wrong, or if I'm right, and a little bit more amateur or a little bit more professional experience, turned pro in 2019. Just looked like that tiny bit of experience was the difference in this fight, where he was able to separate by maybe 1 or 2 rounds, that he could go with that experience. Whereas Darius, I think, is still going to be a fine up-and-comer. It's just he lost a competitive fight that was a WBA super middleweight title. Beck the Bully's career trajectory has been really fun to watch, because he was like the last of the feared punchers in the Golovkin, Lomachenko, Sergey Kovalev, Artur Beterbiev era. I can't really think of another guy in this era that's ranked up there with those guys, and he was put in the mix with them. Then he loses to Rosado, and it's like everyone's like, he's actually not very good. They kind of throw him under the bus, not interested at all, no interest. Oh my God, this guy can't fight. Has an underwhelming fight with David Stevens. And then in this fight, his career's on the line, I feel. WBA super middleweight title eliminator, I believe. It was at least some form of title eliminator, I believe, is the WBA. And he gets it done. He gets the win. He pulls it out. And I think he went from being like an overrated prospect to an underrated contender, because now he has a lot of skills. I think his identity as a big puncher, there's elements of that, but he's more like Beck the good boxer. He's more of a boxer who will throw a left hook at times, but I don't see him as the same guy who's Beck the walk you down bully, Beck looking to stop you. And I think that speaks to both Khalil Coe and Beck the bully, what this segment's about. Great fighters and young fighters that you want to watch can take a loss and reinvent themselves. It's just like Angelo Leo, how I talked about him last week, how cool he is. Reinvention is key with these great up-and-comers. And I'm very impressed with both of them. Beck the bully reinvented himself. Khalil Coe reinvented himself. And it makes boxing more fun.